Hey, what is going on, y'all? Welcome back to the show. Appreciate you guys tuning in today. We have got a dynamite episode for you. I thoroughly enjoyed this one with my good buddy, Marty Cates. Some of you guys might know Marty, some of you guys might not. He is not a really well-known name in the industry, but for those of you guys that have ever been to any of the ASIO shows around Indiana or Ohio area, I'm sure you've seen Marty, a super good guy, really helpful and overall just an absolute killer. This dude has been doing this stuff for over 30 years. And, he grew up in just one of the best destinations for whitetail hunting in the country. Grew up in Indiana, hunted a lot of Illinois. And I really just wanted to pick Marty's brain on what's changed for him over the years as far as his tactics, gear, his approach, and, overall how he's come to, find himself, taking so many big bucks home with him. I never got a number out of Marty on how many big deer he's taken, but I can tell you guys that it is a very impressive number of high caliber deer that this guy's taken. He's a very humble individual, which I absolutely love, and hope you guys will become a fan of Marty's after this episode. So we're going to get into all kinds of good stuff. I wanted to, kind of just shed light on this guy because, I've really enjoyed the guys that some of y'all might not heard of that deserve the credit, instead of just top name guys that, have only killed a few bucks that are younger and coming up. This one's really good. So I hope you guys enjoyed as much as I did. First of all, I want to thank all of you that came out to the Ohio show and just came and said hey to me. I really appreciate all of you guys out there. We do have a few more shirts left. Unfortunately, I'm out of extra large, but any of you guys that are large or mediums, holler at me. Be happy to send you a t-shirt. We got some stickers and stuff too. If any of you guys are just looking and you want a few stickers, man, just shoot me a PM. I'll be happy to send you guys a few. I appreciate all the support. Speaking of support, let's give a shout out to our sponsors and make this possible for us. Lone Wolf Custom Gear, ASIO Gear, Painted Arrow Outdoors, and Timberwolf Supply Company. Guys, I hope you're following each and every one of these companies. I know this weekend we've got the Illinois Deer Classic. Go check out all of our guys there at Lone Wolf Custom Gear and ASIO. I believe Painted Arrow Outdoors is going to be there too. So go holler at them. Tell them we sent you and get your hands on some of this awesome gear. Our quote of the week is from Teddy Roosevelt. And this one's a little bit longer, but I really enjoyed this quote, and I hope you all do too. Teddy says, "The one quality which sets one man apart from another, the key which lifts one to every aspiration while others are caught up in the mire of mediocrity, is not talent, formal education, nor intellectual brightness. It's self-discipline. With self-discipline, all things are possible. Without it, even the simplest goal can seem like an impossible dream." I hope that hits you guys. It's absolutely the truth. If you don't have self-discipline and it's one thing that's really helped set me apart in hunting and life in general. You gotta hold yourself accountable and rise up to that next level. I feel like investing in yourself is the best thing you can ever do. So, without getting too deep into that, guys, hope you all enjoyed that one. Let's get into today's episode with Marty Cates. So what's going on, Marty? How you doing today, buddy?
Man, I'm doing good, Justin. I appreciate you having me on.
Oh, absolutely, brother. No, I was really looking forward to this, man. We get to work the trade shows together and stuff, and I've always really enjoyed spending time with you, man, and been wanting to do this. I wish we could have done it at the Airbnb. It just, I don't know. I feel like once you're at the shows all day, I don't know. I just almost feel weird, like wanting to do a podcast. It becomes almost like a work thing, and I enjoy just hanging out with you guys, so.
Yeah, if we did it at the Airbnb, there may have been stuff said nobody wants to hear.
Yeah, or some wild stuff that people would have loved to hear. But, I apologize, guys. I was trying to get that done, and I feel like it never fails. I just try to live in the moment when I'm hanging out with y'all, and I really enjoy the camaraderie and just the deer camp vibe a little bit in the off season.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yep.
A lot of good stories shared and stuff like that. But But man, I feel like Marty, you're such a humble guy, man. I always enjoy being around you, and you've got a lot of really, really quality stuff to share. I'm not exactly sure how long you've been bow hunting. I know you've been doing it for a while, and I know you've knocked down a ton of giant deer. Can you give our guys that might not know about you just a little background on, where you started hunting and how long you've been doing it, and maybe just an estimate on how many deer you've taken that are in the Pope and Young or better range?
Oh, I'm 52. I'll be 53 later this year, and I started bow hunting when I was 15 years old. I would have my mom or my dad drop me off at the woods, and we'd set a time, and they would come back and get me. And I guess it all started just, I wanted a bow for Christmas one year, and I got it. And I wasn't strong enough to pull it back, so I went to a buddy of mine's house, and it's kind of funny. He would stand behind me and help me drop back, and then let me shoot it.
Okay.
And after a couple months, I was able to shoot on my own. And I went home one day, and I told my dad I wanted to start bow hunting for deer. So we went and talked to a farmer, and he gave me permission. And guess that's kind of how I got started. I didn't know anything.
Really? So, and your dad never hunted then, huh?
No, he would take me squirrel and rabbit hunting, but
Okay.
fishing was kind of my thing, and my dad always took me fishing. Anytime I wanted to go, we'd fish.
I got you.
So I started a bow hunt thing. So anytime I wanted to go, he'd get up early and take me down there and drop me off, and we'd set a time. He'd come back and pick me up.
And where did you grow up at?
Southern Indiana in Knox County.
Gotcha. And you're kind of close to Illinois as well, right?
Yeah,
Around there.
I do most of my hunting in Illinois, and from where I grew up, the Illinois line's only about 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's not bad at all.
How was the deer density like when you first started hunting? And I mean, and were there a lot of deer then? And did you have a mentor or anything to kind of help, get you down the road?
Density.
Okay.
Still there?
Yeah. I lost you for just a second there. Just start over with like
I don't know if you can hear me or
how
not.
the deer density was there.
Oh, back then it was very high density. There wasn't a whole lot of people bow hunting.
Yeah.
And Indiana they still have a very long gun season, and back then you could kill 2 bucks a year. Now it's a one buck a year state.
Yeah.
So I was fortunate and killed a deer my first year bow hunting.
Wow, that's pretty cool. How old were you then?
Yeah. I was 15.
Okay. Now, like, did you have anybody that was like a mentor to you? I mean, I'm sure like you guys were used to skinning game and stuff like that. So, I mean, how did you handle that?
I did have a mentor. When I asked the farmer if I could hunt, he told me I could. He said, there's one guy that has say-so over my ground. He said, do not get in his way. I said, okay, I can do that.
Okay.
So, just out of respect for that guy, I seen his truck parked there one morning. So I waited at his truck till he come out, and I introduced myself and told him the situation. I said, you don't have to tell me exactly where you're at, but on this farm, whereabouts are you hunting? So I do not get in your way.
Right.
Didn't want to bother him at all. And we hit it off instantly. He took me out for breakfast that morning, and we become best friends. We're still great friends today.
That's awesome, man.
And I talk to him all the time, and he hunted with me for probably 10 years or so, and he just kind of took me under his wing and taught me everything he knew.
That's awesome. Was he a bow hunter back then, or was he just a gun hunting?
Oh, no, he was a strict bow hunter.
Oh wow, that's even cooler.
Yeah.
So he helped kind of curve some of the learning curve for you a little bit there.
Oh yeah, he made it a lot easier.
Yeah.
Yeah. He would muzzleloader hunt, but he did not shotgun hunt.
Okay. Like, what was the caliber of deer like back then? Like when you really got into like, were you hunting a really good farm back then when you got started?
I was hunting. Now that I've hunted for so long, I realize I was hunting a mecca
Really?
of a deer farm.
Yeah.
It was insane. But back then I didn't know, and he was not shooting stuff unless it was big.
Right.
And, me being young and gung ho, just starting out bow hunting, if it was brown, it was down.
Mm-hmm. That's how it should
And
be. So, I mean, what would you say like he was killing back then if you like knowing what you know now? Was he like killing 160s, 180s, or like I'm just
not
curious.
not 180s. He killed several 160s and several deer in the 150s.
Okay. So when did you start killing your bigger deer? Like when did you get past the beginning stage of like just brown it's down and then got into the trophy hunting stage kind of?
I would say around my third year. The
Okay.
first deer I the first deer I ever killed with a bow was a button buck, and I didn't realize it was a button buck. And the first deer, rack deer I killed, I did shoot it with a shotgun. It was 135-inch 8. And my third year hunting, I killed a 149-inch 9-pointer. So that kind of got me. And then talking to Steve, the guy who mentored me, that kind of got me to where I wanted to let a lot of the young deer walk and wait for the bigger deer like what he was shooting.
Right. You seen him like taking these things out of the woods and you're like, all right, I think
Yeah,
I've
I
had
did.
enough. And you're like, all right, I know they're here. Like, come on, it's time.
It's funny because back then, obviously, I graduated in 90. So this would have been, 88, 89, right in there, a lot of it. And we didn't have cell phones, nothing like that.
Yeah,
So when I seen him walking through the woods toward my stand, I knew he had shot one.
that's awesome.
It
Did
was a lot of good memories there.
did y'all ever have walkie talkies or anything like that? Like when I know when I started hunting, that's kind of what me and my dad did. But I imagine that was probably you were a
We,
little earlier hunting than I was when I was a kid.
yeah, we didn't do that. We talked about it, after we'd hunted several years together, but we never did do it.
I got you. What size farm was this that you're talking about? Was it huge or
325 acres.
nice? That's awesome.
Yeah. I got to hunt that for 22 years.
That's crazy, man.
And then the farmer passed away and the wife didn't want any more hunting, so
I got you.
we lost it.
So what did you do then? I mean, did you ever get into out of state hunting in between like that time where you lost that farm?
Yeah, I did. Steve actually moved out of Indiana over to Illinois
Okay.
and invited me over to hunt there. So I started kind of hunting both states. And now it's primarily just Illinois.
Man, that's awesome, dude.
He's hooked me up. He's been good to me. He's hooked me up with some pretty good ground.
Yeah. You can't beat that. I mean, and I feel like, having somebody like that to help you get access to good areas, and you get along really well with too. I mean, that's worth its weight in gold.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know?
When he moved to Illinois, he started working for a co-op company, spreading lime and stuff for farmers.
Oh, even better.
So, yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
That really was.
So when did you become like more of a mobile hunter? This being the running and gunning podcast, like when did you adapt like more of the mobile style?
Probably, I'm guessing around my third season.
Okay.
But the first couple of years, I built tree stands out of plywood and 2x4s and the landscape timbers.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what cables were, like what you have on stands nowadays. And I used clothesline wire. And it was crazy. There's no way I'd climb up one of them today.
That's badass.
And then Steve got some screw-in steps, and we would hang the stands. He never did the mobile thing. He'd hang a set, and just leave it for the season.
Okay.
And I couldn't afford a bunch of stands. So I got one lock-on stand, and I bought, I don't know how many screw-in steps, probably a dozen. And I wore camouflage cargo pants, and I had my pockets full of screw-in steps.
Yeah.
And I'd hang a stand, and I'd hunt it, probably back then, probably a week. Just every chance I got, I'd climb the same tree.
Yeah.
And I got tired of that. Thought, well, I'll just take it down and unscrew all my steps, and I'll move it somewhere. And I'd see some deer, and then it started dawning on me, the light bulb went off. Hey, if you keep moving, you're going to stay on fresh stuff and see more deer.
Mm-hmm.
So I was doing it back then and didn't realize, like today, you're a mobile hunter.
Yeah.
I didn't even dream of that. I just thought, I'm going to move my stand over here, fresh deer tracks and trails. And
Yeah.
so I was doing it then, didn't think nothing about it.
No, I mean it. I really kind of laugh at it too. I mean, I've been doing it. That's just how I was raised hunting. I mean, we went in the woods. I mean, I started in like we used to go and build stands out of 2x4s and 2x6s in a big old, gnarly oak tree or something, and just screw it to it. And
Yep.
that's how I killed my first couple of deer out of that. But even then, man, like I'd see a deer move and I'd get down out of the stand and go after it, on foot. I started shotgun hunting. That's really on the eastern shore of Maryland's when I really started doing that. And ever since that first season where I got down and did that, it was always like that. If I was gun hunting, I would just walk till I saw a sign and I'd just sit down by a tree. Or once I got a climber in my hands, when I started when I was 12. So, it was like by the time I was 15 or 16, I'm like, all right, I'm going to pick up dad's old climbing tree stand and go, hoof foot around
Yep.
the woods with that thing. So
Yep.
did you use climbers eventually, or?
Yeah, I did. I did that for a little while. And after I got to working and making my own money, I bought a loggy bayou
Nice.
off of a guy at work. And I was working night shift with my dad. And we got home at like 4 in the morning, and he went in the house and was doing whatever, and we had the windows open back then, and he said he heard something clicking, and he come outside, and there I am going up the street light pole in that little town I grew up in. I was setting up at the street light in that loggy. I wanted to figure out how to use it.
Yeah.
It's 4 o'clock in the morning. That's how I was. If I wanted to do something, I just went and did it.
Yeah. That's killer, man. I
Yeah, it was
remember them
cool.
stands. My dad had one of those. They're awkwardly long.
Oh, they are.
It
Yeah.
was hilarious. But hey, I mean, that was really like the Cadillac of like climbing tree stands back in the day, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, it was. And it had those, remember the long bands that went around the tree
Yeah. Yeah.
on
The
those?
big
I
metal
was
bands.
always, yeah, I
Uh
was always real short. And I'd try to walk through the woods with that. And I sounded like a bull in a china shop.
Probably no better than you having a pocket full of screw-in steps neither. I mean,
Yeah, they jingled a lot.
I guarantee it, man. But that's so
But
cool though, like just thinking about like the history of how people used to get around. I mean, did you primarily rut hunt or were you a full season guy back then?
oh, I was full season till I was out of tags.
Yeah.
I didn't care. I
Yeah.
just wanted to go.
No, I love it, man. That's cool. Was there ever like a lull period for you when you were like chasing the other tails? Or I feel like a lot of guys go through that, like myself included, like probably 17 to 21. I like didn't hunt quite as much. I always hunted, but it was like I got really serious with it when I was like 21. Did you ever go through that or?
No, because when I started getting serious, once I bought my first set of screw-in steps and realized if I moved frequently, I would keep seeing deer.
Mhm.
So, the whole time with the girls and all that, I did it. I did that full bore too. But when it come hunting season, I said, if you want to, continue dating, don't expect to see me till after dark on Fridays and Saturday nights. So I'm going to go hunting in the evenings
Yeah.
after dark. I'll go home, shower, and we'll go out and do something. And they were all fine with it except one. She hit the road, and I'm like, oh well, I'm
See
going
ya.
hunting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's
See you later.
how it's got to be, man. They got to know.
Yeah.
I know my wife now. I remember when we first started dating, all my buddies were like, "We'll see if she makes it through a hunting season. We'll see."
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, she's hunting with me, and we had some fun. And she's always been stubborn. Got her into bow hunting, and then we had kids, and that kind of changed things for her. She didn't quite hunt
Yeah.
quite as much with that, but
It slowed down when I had my daughter.
I was going to ask you that. That was my next question. Like, how
Yeah.
did being a parent change, your hunting and how much you were getting
At
out?
at that time, my wife and I then we both worked, and sometimes she worked on the weekend. So yeah, I'd stay home with my daughter, and yeah, it slows you down some, but you still find time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just not quite as much when you're a single guy and you can get out there
Right.
every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, throughout the years for you, I mean, when did you really like start becoming really consistent? Have you always been consistent killing every year? Like,
I don't remember, exactly if it was my 8th year, 10th year, or whatever it was, but on this farm that I was telling you about, if you asked that farmer for permission, he would let you hunt
yeah.
because he didn't want the deer on it. They did too much damage. So he didn't tell anybody no. And after a couple of years, after I killed that 135.8, my first antler deer. Then I killed the 140 some inch 9 pointer. Then the local people around started asking to hunt, and a bunch of them come in, and I didn't mind it. And after 2 to 3 years, I started noticing I was always out there way too early, and setting my stand for 2 hours before daylight. And I got to noticing when I would hear the other hunters come in, I would hear the deer running as they were walking through the fields, running them off, and they always went to a certain section.
Okay.
So it kind of, I used that to my advantage,
Mm-hmm.
and I started setting up in that certain section. And it's almost like you were hunting the people, not the deer.
Yeah.
You would set up there, and what's known today as like an escape route. I didn't know that back then. I just thought they're all going to run to this area. I'm just going to sit here and wait on everybody to come in here and start hunting.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to sit here. And then I started seeing the deer like what Steve was killing.
I gotcha. So you just
And
started figuring out like where they were safe at, and you just beat
yeah,
them there in the mornings. Did you have more
yeah,
success in the mornings versus the evenings because of that?
no,
No.
not really.
I was
I
always
mean, I had
curious about that too. Like, if you feel like, all your years of hunting, like, do you prefer mornings or evenings?
right now, I would prefer, well, depending on the time of year, my favorite time of year is like the last third of October
Mm-hmm.
to, Thanksgiving. I mean, granted, during the rut, it's pretty unpredictable because they're going crazy.
Yeah.
But if I had to pick, it would be probably the last third of October into the first part of November. My absolute favorite day to hunt is November 15th.
Okay.
I've killed a lot of deer, a lot of good deer on November 15th.
Is that right when like opener is for Indiana or Illinois?
Opener for a gun.
Yeah.
It's flirting with it. Yeah.
That's what I thought. Do you feel
Yeah.
like that's influenced it? Because I've noticed that really like been a major shift in my hunting here in Kentucky. Like some of my best sits I've ever had have been on opening day, if I'm not tagged out already.
No, because in Illinois, you can't just hunt anywhere on opening day with a bow. Years ago, you could hunt in some state parks. You had to fill out a form and all that, and you could bow hunt in there. But that's when I just, I'll take the 3 day weekend and the 4 day weekend off, and now I spend time with my wife and family, and we do things then.
Yeah, I got you.
Kind of gives me a little break and kind of gets her off of me a little bit.
Yeah,
I don't tell her what's going on. I just say, honey, I just decided I'm going to stay home with you this weekend.
that's right, man. Hey, you
Yeah,
gotta
you got to play the cards.
let's get into this. Just one little like relationship question here. What's one of your
Oh
best
no.
pieces of advice for those husbands out there with like families and how to please your wife to get through some hunting seasons? What's some tricks?
You do from the time your season is over, and if you're listening and you turkey hunt, from the end of deer season to the beginning of turkey season. If she wants to do something, just go do it.
That's right.
Go do it. If you don't like it, smile like you're loving it and tell her how much you love her.
Yeah.
And we go on. My wife is a traveler, and I'm not too much on traveling.
Mm-hmm.
And she knows now when it comes, October, I'm not going anywhere.
Right.
And turkey season, I'm not going anywhere. So everything is marked on the calendar in between the end of deer season, start of turkey season, and after turkey season till October. That's when she pretty much hits the gas with me doing things.
Yeah. I
And
gotcha.
I do it. And I'll find usually a weekend in August where I can go. I don't put out trail cameras till August, and I'll find a weekend there when I can go slip out and do that.
Yeah. When did you start using trail cameras, and like how have they affected your hunting? Do you feel like you were more effective when you didn't use them? Like, did you have more encounters with bigger deer? Do you feel what's your take once using trail cameras, cellular and non-cellular? Like,
The surprise element was more when I didn't use them
right? I agree with you.
because you had no idea what was out there,
Mm-hmm.
unless you'd seen it before scouting or something. But I started using trail cameras. I bought one, and I don't know if you remember them, Justin, or not. They were made by Moultrie, and you unscrewed like a little screw at the bottom, and the whole front of that camera flipped up.
Oh
It
yeah.
was huge.
Mm-hmm.
I think it ran on D batteries.
Yep. My dad
It
had
was
one of
so
them.
big.
Yeah, it was literally like a whole. It was full of D batteries. It was like 12 of them or something too. I think
Yeah, it was crazy. They weighed
super
like
heavy.
5 pounds carrying
Did
them out
it?
there.
Did you have the ones that you put the roll of film in?
No, I did not have
Okay.
one of them.
Okay.
Nope. And it was a learning curve with them too, because it was like a kid with a new toy at Christmas. I put it out and I go check it next day.
Oh
You
really?
know, oh yeah, I was
Yeah.
bad about it.
I got you. I got you.
And I'm like, man, these things aren't working, or I'd get a doe or something, and like everything else, as you keep doing it, then you learn, well, that's kind of when I picked up on the scent thing.
Yeah.
Because she would come up and smell the camera, or a buck would come up and smell it. And I'm like, why are they smelling it? And then I thought, well, maybe they're smelling me where I was touching it,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever.
Yeah.
And so that's when I started kind of wondering about the scent thing. And I asked around, and, some of the old guys that hunted for a while said, well, yeah, they can smell you. And heck, I never knew it, you
Okay.
know.
So your buddy Steve never like would he play the wind? Would you ever consider playing the wind or what?
We never really talked about the playing the wind. So back then, I'm going to be honest and say no. I mean, he
Okay.
told me to wear rubber boots,
Okay.
and I forget what kind of scent spray we'd put on, but we'd spray our boots down. And I thought then that nothing would be able to smell you,
Yeah. I
you
remember
know?
my old man always like spraying fox pee all the time. Like
Oh,
my
yeah.
dad was such a gadget hunter, dude. I swear he'd go to the woods with everything in the toolbox. He'd have a backpack to
Yep.
go on an afternoon hunt in our back 40. I mean, where now, like I just laugh at that and I'm like, dude, if I was hunting out back, like I wouldn't take nothing but my stand and my belt, you know?
Right. Yeah. I would take a backpack, man. I had extra socks in it,
Yeah,
rain
right.
gear,
Exactly.
everything. And I was theoretically, I'm like, or in reality, I was like 15 minutes from my house.
Uh-huh.
I was just out in the country from that little town, but I would have, a snack in there, extra socks, raincoat, just anything you could imagine.
Bottle of water, all kinds of stuff. There's
Yeah.
no my dad was we'd have a pee bottle. I had an empty pee bottle that I had to pee in. He swore you could
Oh,
never pee on the ground because they'd smell it. Like,
oh, I was like that for
terrible.
years.
Yeah.
There's no way I would pee on the ground.
Right.
No way at all.
Oh man, how times have changed. What's one of the
Right.
funniest things that you laugh at now, like looking back that you used to do that you don't do anymore?
I would carry a plastic bag to go to the bathroom when it wasn't going to pee,
Gotcha. No, I
because,
picked up right away. Yeah.
yeah, I thought,
My dad did that too. I never did that. I always like I would go before or whatever. I always made it a point to use the bathroom before. Go
I
number
would
two
try,
before you
but
enter the woods if you can.
I never could. It's like for me, when I got in the woods, it was time. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
It's a trigger.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was.
That's hilarious. So no more dump bag, huh? You
No.
ditch that now? No, you're not
Yeah, I
not
ditched
worried
that
about it.
now. Nope, not anymore.
That's too funny. Oh man. Well, to shift gears from that crappy topic,
Yeah, right.
The one thing I was really the number one question I had for you, Marty, that with me specifically, I really like getting into the mindset of guys like you, and
Hmm.
I really was curious, like, what's like one of the biggest mindset shifts you've had, like in your hunting, that really you felt like you finally put that piece of the puzzle together that maybe you were missing, like. What's something that you notoriously did that you changed and really like you started seeing success?
Scrapes.
Okay. And how long did
Yep.
that take you to understand?
Took a few years, man. I'm not gonna lie,
Yeah.
but that is. I mean, I'm no different than any other guy. Everybody tries them and has luck on them. Everybody can have luck on them. I just that's one thing that I started doing and messing around with them and listening to people. And I'll admit, none of it was really self-taught as far as the scrape hunting and setting up mock scrapes and whatever. I mean, yeah, I picked up a few little things here and there, but that's once I kind of figured out where they should be
Mm-hmm.
to see what's in there possibly and they how they use them for to survive and um, like find a doe and heat and all that. That's when it started. More things started to click, kind of.
Okay. And like, was before you were ever using trail cameras and stuff? Now, am I right in saying that?
No, I
Okay.
learned, picked up on all that after trail cameras.
Okay. When you started doing it, were you like, where were you making mistakes? Like, were you just not worried about your scent with your hands? Were you using the wrong scents, or like, what was your strategy? What changed?
Probably the biggest mistake I made where I put them.
Okay. I think that's
I
the
would say,
biggest mistake that everybody makes, if I'm going to be honest. I've got a lot of my
yeah,
friends that do it the right way, and they even wear gloves, and I'm like, "Where'd you put it at?" Well, he's not hitting it, and I'm like, "Okay, well, I think it really is like it becomes almost like an art, right? Like you kind of get to know what they want to see and what they're doing, and having the right location of where you're placing it, I think, is everything. Like,
I do too. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Location's key.
yeah. What's your
And
favorite
you don't have to
location?
do,
Like outside of bedding or field edges? I mean, every situation's a little different, I guess. It's kind of a vague question.
I really like them on the edge of some bedding.
Okay.
Um, I do put a few, um, on a food source. I'm not going to sit here and say that's the one I hunt,
Mm-hmm.
but you will get uh, to me, it seems like you'll get a better inventory of how many bucks are in the area,
Yeah. On the field edge.
and yeah, you can learn a lot by doing that and kind of put a few things together to key in on maybe your bigger bucks. You
Yeah.
can see if you go on field edge, you watch which direction he keeps coming from,
Right.
and then you just backtrack,
Right.
and it's going to lead you to where you get a gut feeling
Mm-hmm.
like this is it right here,
Yep. I agree with you,
right
man.
here. Yep.
Are
And
you, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
to any new person, I am by no means a professional in any way. I'm no better than the next guy. I've just done it a long time. I don't know any more than anybody, but to a new hunter, go on your gut feeling.
Okay.
That's one piece of advice I would say is true, and I learned that from fishing a lot of bass tournaments too. Go on your gut feeling when you're placing scrapes. If you see a spot that man it looks like there should be a scrape here, and you truly feel that, put one there.
Yeah. Do
Put
you,
it there. You're going to learn from that one.
do you make a lot
Whether
of
you're,
mock scrapes, or do you doctor up existing scrapes?
oh, I've got some places where they scrape every year, and I'll just go in and start them early.
Yeah. That's what I've been doing, and I've had a lot of success with that. Like,
I've had a bunch of it. Yeah.
figuring out which ones they really like, especially those field edge scrapes. I feel like those are kind of a dead giveaway. And I've learned that a lot of times you'll just get those does that hit them all season long,
Yep.
The entire year, not even just the season. But
That's what I was going to say. They'll use
yeah,
them the whole year.
right.
And I actually hit a scrape, or hit it. I doctored one up just in the fall or last year in 2024 on a piece of permission ground that I've got. And I'd hunted it the year before, so I knew there was a scrape there. And it wasn't like a active scrape, but I didn't know the ground real well. So, I reopened it and freshened it up in August. And I got a picture of a deer that I thought would be close to 200.
Yeah.
And I seen which way he was coming in, and he went over to the scrape, messed around with the licking branch a little bit. He was full velvet, and he went back the same direction. So immediately, the next chance I had to get over there, I started doing some backtracking, and I made another mock scrape, and I got him on that one. So I did some more backtracking, and I made another scrape, got him on that one, and then I lost him for a while. And I thought he's made a move.
Mm-hmm.
So I went, I scouted, and I thought there's a giant standing cornfield, and they will lay in that during the summer
Right. Yep.
religiously almost.
Get down in
So
one of them drainages and just bed down.
yeah, and this one's got a nice drainage in it. So I was walking the edge of that cornfield, and I found some really good acorn trees dropping and some bur oaks dropping. I thought, I bet I can pick him up here.
Mm-hmm.
It was just, going back to that gut feeling.
Right.
And I put a camera there, like say 1 o'clock in the afternoon at like 6:30, quarter to 7. Of course, it's summertime, so it's daylight pretty late. At 6:30, quarter to 7, here he comes out of standing corn.
Yep.
And then I kind of honed in on his area from there and found a funnel I didn't realize was there, and started getting him. I started getting him quite a bit. I got a lot of pictures and videos of him, but I myself never seen him from the stand until probably December.
Yeah. I remember like you sending me some pictures of this deer, and I was like, holy crap, man. Like
Yeah,
he was awesome. I mean, that's like a
yeah.
dream deer for anybody. Um do you feel like if your season didn't open in October, you'd have killed him like early?
I don't. I honestly don't think I would, Justin. I
No?
don't think I was on him good enough. I
Okay.
really don't.
I know you
I'm
had
not.
said
I'm not.
like he was like hit or miss. Like, I mean, we talked a little bit about it. You kind of felt like he was just like kind of a roamer a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh yeah, if it would have opened it this time, I had him nailed, because I didn't.
right,
I mean, like you said, you and I talked a couple of times, and he was random, but he was there,
right. Yeah, big
and it
deer are
was.
assholes like that.
Yeah.
I chased
No.
one this year that was like that, man. It was like frustrating. And even our season opens in early September, so I thought I'd have him patting down, and I actually did kind of patting him down, and then they cut the corn, and it screwed me.
Yep.
But such is life.
And I only got a chance to set up on him a couple of times, and I just he wasn't there.
Yeah. Did you ever get word about him, or did he make it through the
I
season?
I don't know. I was asked that the other day at the show. I think Joe asked me that, and I don't know if he made it or if somebody shot him.
Yeah. I feel like you would know if somebody shot that thing, to be honest. I mean, I,
I would hope so.
yeah. Yeah. Without disclosing anything about the deer, I mean, he was the caliber that I would imagine anybody you would have found out somehow. Like,
Oh yeah,
are you
they would be talking.
yeah, are you friends with the farmer at that place, or is that a lease?
No, it's not, at least just permission ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, he never said nothing about it.
I
He
got you.
didn't even know it was there.
I got
He's
you.
never mentioned.
Okay. That's pretty sweet. Yeah. Yeah, man, I really appreciate the invite you sent me this year, to come out and hunt with you. It was just like unfortunate timing. I wish I could have. Marty had already tagged out, and he was like, man, you need to come up here. I got some good deer running around. And I'm like, man, I just felt like I was asking for trouble with my old lady. I just
I get it.
spent a week away and I've been grinding here like nonstop. I can just imagine her
Yeah,
reaction to me leaving.
it's an expensive tag too, man.
Yeah. Yeah. It is what it is. I mean, hindsight's 2020. Now I look back and I wish I would have bought that Illinois tag instead of the Missouri tag, but
We, the invite's still good, buddy. Anytime you want to come.
I appreciate it, brother. I really do. I hope you're putting in some Iowa points as well. I don't know if
I
you got
never have done that.
no. Well, shoot, you're not that
No,
far from them.
I
I
know.
mean, heck, what is it like? Probably 6, 7 hours
It's
for you.
I think it's about 8, somewhere in there. Let's just say 7 to 9 to be safe.
Yeah, it's worth it. I think.
Yeah,
I don't
it
know.
is.
Yeah,
It would be.
yeah, I know. I've heard. We heard. We got to hear some pretty interesting and cool stories while we were at the Ohio show about just
Yeah, we
giants
did.
all over the place. I'm like, oh man, I'm
Everywhere.
pretty fired up. Yeah, people
Makes
loose lips sink ships. I mean, can we agree on that? Like,
Yeah, there was one there, wasn't there?
there sure was. There's a couple of them. If I'm going to be honest with you, but
Yeah.
I mean, has that happened to you in the past? I mean, I know you seem like you kind of keep to yourself a lot of times with that kind of stuff, but like, has that burned you? Or I mean, in previous years, like just telling somebody the wrong thing.
Yeah, dude. It burned me one time really good.
Oh man.
I I told a guy about a deer I was seeing, and it was no secret where I hunted,
Hmm.
because I mean, I just told people back then, and I told him about a good deer I was seeing, and I told him the holler. I call it a holler because I'm a redneck, but the holler that this deer was running.
Yeah.
And I went in one morning and set up, and right before daylight, I could hear something coming through the woods. I was listening. I thought that's not a deer, and then I could hear some rustling around, some metal clanking, and I'm like, what is going on? And then you hear the sound of a climber. The
Hmm.
click, 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 as he goes up the tree. And when it broke daylight, he was about 45 yards straight in front of me on the other side of that holler.
Oh man.
Yeah. And so after that, I pretty much didn't say much to anybody.
How'd you handle that situation? Was he a friend of yours?
Yeah, he was.
What the heck?
I just got down. I just got down and left. I didn't even hunt. As soon as I seen him in that tree,
Yeah.
I just got down and left.
I don't blame you. Did you
Yep.
confront him about it or no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I won't say no names. I'm
No.
like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah.
He was, I'm coming back there to hunt. I got permission to be there too. And I was like, I told you where I was at. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I know.
And
I'm gonna cut you off. I'm gonna shoot him
yeah,
first when he comes down the
I'm
same
like,
trail you're
I'm
Oh
like,
man.
whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, that hurts. That'll hurt. Doesn't sound like he had much of a chance, but you never know. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know if he
I've seen
shot him
wilder
or,
stuff happen, especially during the rut.
oh, yeah. When I got down that morning, I wasn't quiet going out.
I'm sure you weren't. I wouldn't be neither. Oh man. When you really over the years, I mean, I feel like you're being kind of humble, but like you've killed plenty of deer over 160s. When you started doing that more consistent, do you feel like it kind of were you still able to consistently grow, or did you ever like kind of plateau and had to come down from like chasing really big deer like that?
I wouldn't say I plateaued. I mean, everybody has their off year, but I don't, and maybe I look at it wrong. I don't think I can plateau because you're constantly learning.
Right.
You know, I don't know anybody.
I guess it was more in reference to like the caliber of deer in your area. Like, was there ever something like that? I mean, I know some years are better than others, but I mean, has your personal like goal level, has it like ever ebb and flowed, I guess, if that makes sense?
Oh, I set a bar like every time I would kill at the moment my best deer.
Mm-hmm.
I would always set a bar, but now I don't anymore.
Yeah.
Um, I do run trail camera, so I know pretty much what's where, but that doesn't always work. You don't always get them. So now if I get excited
Yeah.
and I see a deer coming in, it's get me jacked up and I get that feeling, my heart's pounding, and I'm probably going to shoot him because that's why I'm out there, is to get that feeling.
Yeah.
It's
Absolutely.
not this. It's not to say, oh, I've killed a deer bigger than this guy or that guy.
No.
Now I'm after that rush,
Yeah.
that adrenaline. I love that.
That's where I'm at. I mean, I feel like I've killed some good deer, but I kind of had like a come to fruition moment like here in Kentucky where I've got a really close friend of mine that's an older guy. He's in his early 60s and still loves
Hmm.
bow hunting. He actually switched up to traditional archery like since we've been friends. And
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, and he's never really killed many deer over, like he's only killed like two deer, maybe three over 150, and he's lived here his whole life and he gets after it. I mean, he's usually in a climber or something like that, and he doesn't use any trail cameras or anything like that. So granted, like, that does play a part in in his mindset. He's like, anything that's a 120 or 130 that comes in there, he's smoking it.
Yep.
Um, so I mean, it's just a little bit different for me. I feel like I've kind of been like, well, I always want to kill a big deer, but like this year was just one of those examples of like I killed like a 130 class deer, and it was I've killed a lot bigger deer, but I was super stoked about it, and I don't
Oh,
know. Yeah.
same thing with me this year.
Yeah.
I didn't kill a giant. I thought I was getting ready to shoot a giant, but that hunt that I had was the most memorable hunt that I've ever had in my life.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I know when I talked to you, buddy, you were down and out. You were like, man, I'm just like really disappointed in myself. Like, do you mind maybe just sharing a little bit of that? I think it'd be a great story just for everybody to kind of hear. I know you might not want
Well,
to share it, but I do believe it'll,
no, I don't mind now because it was the most memorable, most exciting hunt I've ever had.
yeah.
But it wasn't my best deer, but that adrenaline rush I was just talking about, I could have jumped out of the tree after I shot,
Yeah.
and just I had a deer I was hunting. I called him the boss. He's a mainframe 8. It's got a split brow, maybe a kicker or something. But as a mainframe 8, he's probably mid 60s. He's a really good 8, and he's got a left brow tine that's extremely tall and it forks. So I'm set up one morning over a mock scrape, and I see this deer coming through some saplings that are in the woods. No way you can shoot into them saplings at all. And I grunted at him just to stop him. And he kept walking. I grunted again. He stopped and looked, and I seen a really tall tine sticking up that forked on his left side. And I thought, that's the boss.
Hmm.
I can't believe it.
Yeah. You
And
went
I
into kill
told,
mode straight away.
I did.
Yeah.
I told a friend of mine, Cole Powell, earlier that morning. Actually, I said, I think I'm going to kill him today because he's been on, it's like a 4 or 5 day like pattern almost when he'd come through.
Hmm.
And I said, I think I'm going to kill him this morning. And that's probably what jinxed me. But
Yeah.
anyway,
you were
I, I
you were
seen, I
already
seen that.
ready to go. Like,
Yeah, I
hmm.
seen that tine and it forked, and I got to looking, and other tines looked pretty long, and I thought, man, that's him. That's him. And right then I thought, I got to get him over here because I can't shoot him there. So I grunted again, and he stopped and looked. He turned around and he kept walking same direction. So I snort wheezed at him, and he turned and he come to me, and he's grunting, and he only comes like 15, 20 yards, and he stops and looks for a second. He turns and goes the same direction he was headed. So I grunted again, and he stopped and looked. And I thought, all right. And he takes off walking. So I grunted again, and he stops and looks, and he takes off walking. And finally, I thought, I'm going to give him a Hail Mary snort wheeze. So I snort wheezed at him, and he turned and bristled up and snort wheezed back at me. That's the first time I'd ever had one do it back at me.
That's cool.
And he just comes right in. And I had not looked at the rack no more because I seen that one time that forked. on his left side, and I thought, that's him.
Mm-hmm.
And I just didn't look at the rack. I thought, where am I going to shoot this deer? I got to find, an opening to kill him. And he's walking to me behind some bigger timber, and he turns to his right as he's coming to me, which is my left, and gets behind a tree, and I come to full draw, and he's at, I think it was 12 yards or something like that. And like they do, he stepped out from behind that tree, and he just instantly looked up, and I had moved. I was anchored in ready.
Yeah.
And he just looked straight up at me, and I don't know how, but he did, and had my pin on him, and he was looking at me. And as soon as he turned his head up, I shot him right down through the throat.
Yeah.
And he turned around, went 40 yards, and fell over.
That's awesome.
And
dude.
I start calling people, and the boss is down. I killed him.
Uh-huh.
I was so happy.
Yeah.
And then when I got down, went over to him, I was kind of let down. You know the rest. I told you I was pretty down.
Dude, it reminds me so much of a story that happened to me one time on opening day. But yeah, I've been there, man. It's rough.
Yeah. And it was in he's low to mid 40s probably, I'd say. At nice deer.
Yeah.
Super deer. Now I'm proud of him because I was, like I said, I'm after that adrenaline and putting pieces together and trying to do everything I can. And I had that feeling that morning.
Oh yeah.
Big time.
Yeah. That's time.
My gauge was red line, dude. I was in the moment.
Yeah. Dude, that's what we live for, man. Like, you never know how many more of those you're going to get. And,
exactly.
I'm a firm believer in, like, hunting ain't all about the size of the rack, like we obviously all love chasing big deer. I feel like it's like just a circumstance of what happens when you love hunting. Like, you're going to kill a giant buck eventually. Like, but whatever, man, at the end of the day, you're taking something's life. And I feel like it's almost disrespectful to be, like, angry about killing a subpar deer than you wanted to. It's like, hey.
I realized that too after a little while after I shot that one. I thought, that's not giving the animal the respect that it deserves.
Yeah. No, dude, it was a great buck. I mean, I understand it wasn't a 160. I get it. I totally get it. But it was not like you didn't shoot a 100-inch buck or something, And no. I imagine it was during the rut too, wasn't it? It was like November.
It was November 7th or 9th, I believe.
Yeah, like prime.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was probably looked like a giant. I guarantee it.
Oh,
big old.
He did.
It was an Illinois buck, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The deer are built different, dude. I mean, I don't care who you are out there, especially guys that don't like hunt the Midwest. When you see a 4 or 5 year old buck out there during the rut, like, you're immediately gonna think a 3-year-old is probably like a 6-year-old back home. So
yeah. And what got me was I looked at him through the binoculars while he was in the saplings. And man, them binoculars will fool you.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
They got me that morning.
Did they? Oh man.
But it's a cool deer. I'm proud now because it was, like I said, it was a great hunt, man.
Yeah.
It went flawlessly. The calling, which usually doesn't work for me,
it worked.
It turned out worked great that
timing,
day.
Dude. I think timing is everything on calling deer and finding the right buck with the right attitude. And I feel like the more Midwest you get, the more deer act like deer are supposed to do. At least like as far as what you see on TV and stuff like that. As their response, where some of these bucks in Kentucky are like that, and then other ones are like, I'm out. See ya. I don't know.
I've had that.
I don't know if it's a pressure thing or maybe that buck particular was just like kind of a bitch. I don't know, but
that probably happens to me more than them coming in, man.
Yeah.
Grunt out and they'll look, and they may stand there and stare for 10 seconds or so, but more often than not, they just keep going until you get lucky, like I did on that one deer that's in the right mood or hasn't found a hot doe yet or whatever, and they'll just come in.
Oh yeah, and having good lay of land too. I feel like Illinois and Indiana, both depending on where you're at, are relatively flat, and I mean, they can see a lot farther away than having that hill country where you can grunt at him and he might not be able to see over the ridge, so he's going to come investigate. Yeah,
and that's like the first farm that I told you I hunted. It it was hilly and had a lot of valleys in it, or hollers.
Hollers. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, holler.
Mm-hmm.
But in Illinois, where I mainly hunt now, it's just flat.
Yeah.
It's flat. Yeah,
They
it's
got
flat like
hollers
a
and stuff
table.
too. I remember my dad for my graduation, man, from high school. We went out to Illinois for a guided hunt. It was like semi-guided. We had to go out there. They kind of were like, "Here's the farm," and then we took our climbers and set up. Um, but this guy over there was always like, "They're down in the hollers," and like, dude, they
Yep.
were hollers because they were steep ass hills. They were just the big drainages, out there
Yeah.
in the middle of Illinois, where it's just
Yep.
nothing but flat, and then you got those 300-foot, you know, kind of little mini canyons, is
Yep.
what basically I'd call it. But
Yep.
well, I got a couple more questions for you. I know we're getting close to wrapping
Sure.
this one up, man. But do you as far as like, for like the next generation, man, like what's one of the biggest things that you would like to pass on, to try to help other younger hunters, that are, maybe between the ages of, like 20 to 25 that are just getting into this stuff, and like something good that you could share with them if you could.
Being my age now, and I went, not what I'm going to tell you. I went the opposite way, but keep it fun. Don't get caught up in your deer has to be bigger than someone else's, or you know, don't let social media influence you in a bad way. Keep hunting fun, and when you get excited about a deer that you see coming and you want to shoot it, shoot it. You're only shooting it for yourself, and that's an accomplishment.
Right.
For
Amen.
a new hunter to go out and shoot, a whitetail deer of any age or caliber, whatever it may be, that's an accomplishment.
Yeah, it really
You
is.
know,
I don't think
yeah,
people
make
talk
it
about that
fun, and
enough.
no, they don't. And as you progress as a hunter, yeah, you're going to get to where you set a bar for yourself and all that, but just keep it fun, because it can, from experience, it can turn in to where it's not as much fun. It's almost like a job.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with what you said more. Honestly,
Yeah,
I love that.
it's almost like work. And if I could relive it now and know what I know, it would be a lot more fun than a phase that I had went through
Yeah.
years ago.
Did you get to hunt a lot with like did you ever really have like some good friends that you hunted with?
Oh
Other
yeah.
than Steve? Yeah. Did you like do any deer camps or anything like that out like in other states?
No, back then we didn't travel much. I mean,
Yeah.
our deer camp, so to call it, would be, after everybody got done hunting in the evening, we'd all meet at a buddy's garage and drink a beer or whatever, something like that.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I seen this deer, or,
Well,
you
you
know,
live in one of the best destinations in the country, one of them. So, maybe not so much like where you're at, like right now. I know you travel to Illinois a lot to hunt, but
yeah,
I mean, you're close to, some really good ground. So
yeah,
you don't,
close to some good,
you don't need
good
to
ground.
travel too far.
Right.
That was the
I
one
can,
thing I wish, like in Maryland, that I wish I did more when I was younger. Like, kind of like before I had kids, when I was like more of a single guy. I wish I would have been doing more stuff like that. I think there's a big push for a lot of younger guys now to maybe not party as much, and like there's more younger dudes that are just straight getting after it and like
yeah.
going and traveling in the Midwest and like,
And I love seeing them do that.
yeah, me too.
I love them. A lot of them now are building these vans to stay in and all that. And they're going out there by themselves and jumping on some public or whatever. And
Hmm.
they're getting it done. I love seeing that.
Yeah, yeah, it is
That's,
cool.
if I could meet every one of them, I'd shake their hand and say, kudos to you, buddy. You're killing them.
Yeah,
You know?
I mean, I think a lot of times you don't think about like the ripple effect of that, like down the road. It's like, all right, so you're in your 20s getting this like, out of state rig together. Like, what do
Yeah.
you think that's going to turn into in the next 10 years? Like,
No kidding.
exactly. And what's the walls going to look like? I mean, that's one thing I kind of step back every once in a while. I'm like, okay, time to slow down on a deer bounce. Like, what,
Yeah.
you ain't going to have enough room if you continue this, like,
Oh yeah.
So
Time for some Euro mounts or something.
exactly, and I know you can
Yeah.
relate to that statement. I mean, you just built a new house for yourself. You
Yes.
got plenty of trophies to hang up on the wall. What was
Yeah.
your
I've got
biggest
some.
buck, Marty? I wanted to ask you that. Like, what did he
What's
end
that?
up? I know you're not huge on score, but what was your biggest buck you've killed so far?
I had it scored at the Indiana Deer and Turkey Expo at 179.
That's awesome. When did you
Thank you.
shoot that one?
What did I shoot it?
When? No, like when did you shoot that?
Uh, I didn't shoot him until 20 2022 or 2023. I've got a picture somewhere with the date on it, but I think it was 2022.
Okay, it's not too
Or
long ago.
no, and I killed him late season, December 17th.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've grown to really accept, like, if I do have a tag in my pocket in December, it isn't a bad thing. I've had a lot of really awesome hunts around that, like beginning to mid December. I think that's a great time frame.
Oh yeah, you can if you've got a good food source, and you can really have a good hunt if you find one of those younger does that comes into heat late.
Yeah,
She's
yeah,
liable to have several bucks on her.
right. Exactly. Exactly. One of the things I really was interested in, Marty, was, what's one thing that's kind of changed the game for you, with as far as technology goes over the years? Like, maybe not so much trail cameras, but maybe gear related. Like, what's like a gadget or maybe a piece of gear that has really elevated your success in, being mobile or whatever?
Well, I mentioned for several years I carried the screw and steps in my pocket, and they would clank around and all that. Then I got my hands on my very first set of climbing sticks, and that I would probably say that was a huge turning point for me. You can set a climbing stick in just a matter of seconds, where it takes a minute or two to get a screw and step in. And I was carrying, I'm going to say maybe 12 in my pockets. I don't know. My first set was actually, they were lone wolves, and they were full length at 32 or 4 inches, whatever they were, and had the three steps on them.
Mm-hmm.
And I was carrying five of them.
Okay.
So I was like, 30, I had a 30-foot pull up rope. And there's a lot of days my bow would stand up on the camera, even come off the ground by the time I got the fifth one hung.
No kidding.
And back then I thought you can't get too high to hunt a whitetail.
I got
So
you.
I was maxing out every time, man. Now it's comical, but back then I
I was
thought
going
I
to ask,
was.
has that changed for you now, your hunting height, or do you typically try to hunt higher?
No, no, it's changed dramatically. I have four sticks, but I generally only carry three.
Okay.
And
What is your setup
80,
now? What are you running?
I'm running a custom gear point .5, the public land stand.
Yeah.
I got the mesh seat on that. I'm running tethered one sticks. I carry three with me.
Okay.
I generally run two, but both of them have a two-step aider.
Okay. I got you.
And that's just what I roll with now. I mean, and I do have one spot that I hunt. I just use one stick.
I got you.
So I'm not afraid of hunting low, or if I need to go high, I've got the third stick with me.
Yeah.
But very seldom ever do I run that fourth one.
That's
I don't
awesome.
even, I leave it in the bed of my pickup. I don't carry it to the tree with me.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, man. I always try whenever I am working trade shows and you get questions from guys that are just getting into it. I'm like, my go-to answer is three sticks because it's so much easier to carry two up with you while you're climbing versus having three. I just feel like it adds a ton of extra effort to your setup when you're doing
Yeah.
that. So,
Yeah. And what I've noticed too, um, I do a lot of, I don't know, maybe it's weird, but when I pick out a tree, it is kind of weird. You're going to laugh, but I've been down to where I think a deer, the head height would be,
uh-huh.
and look up, and I try to stay below, out of the skyline, if you know
Yeah.
what I mean.
Oh, absolutely, man.
So sometimes, like I said, it's just one stick,
Yeah.
or maybe two sticks, and I don't use the second aider. I just, I visualize, I pick out the skyline and I pick out a spot that's like 5.5 feet under that. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where I mark that on the tree visually, and that's where I set my stand.
Yep, I'm with you, dude. I do the same thing, but I can't tend to keep myself from carrying three sticks, but a lot of times I leave that third stick on the ground.
Yep, I do too.
So I'd rather be prepared than unprepared.
That's the
I
way
don't
I
know.
am.
Cody always tells me to just ditch it and just run the season with two sticks and make it happen. Like if you need to get higher, I think I'm going to actually commit to it this year and just bring one of those removable bottom aiders, like a 2-step or a 3-step aider
Yeah,
on the bottom,
yeah.
just in my pack if I need it. I think it's smart. I mean, you think about your setup time and how much quicker you could be if you only carried two and how much easier that would be. So,
Oh yeah, makes it lighter and faster and everything.
right,
And,
right.
and Cody, I've never met the guy, but I've seen him in some videos. He's like a damn squirrel.
Oh,
If
well,
he needed to go higher, he'd just jump bear claw.
dude, that guy, he's strong as shit. He really
Yeah,
is. I mean, he used to be a bodybuilder. So he kind of makes it out like it's easier than it is. And just because of his physical condition, he's like, oh, I'll
yeah.
just do a pull up. And I'm like, yeah, well, but yeah, for me, I think if you had that, like a 3-step aider for the bottom and then two sticks, that's ideal. And then you're saving the weight too. So
Oh
that's
yeah,
cool.
absolutely.
That was one thing I really wanted to ask you, but,
Yeah,
I got
and I love
three.
that.
What's
I love
that?
that setup.
Oh, I know, man. You can't beat the point five. It
No,
packs great. You're one of the few people though that I know that actually has a point five with a mesh seat on it. So, but I mean, I understand for the comfort, like the point five seat
it's
is pretty small.
yeah, and the mesh seat is so comfortable. And I run a saddle, so I I guess I'm like a hybrid hunter,
Hmm.
but I like to stand up and lean against a tree with one shoulder.
Okay.
And I may stay like that for 30, 45 minutes and then switch to the other shoulder. But on an all day set, there's times I do have to sit down.
Right. So
And
you're
that,
typically putting your stand on the backside of a tree. Is that
yes,
how you? Okay.
I, I only sit with the tree between me and the deer.
Okay. I love
I
that. That's
love
how I
that.
hunt. I hunt the same way.
And
I
I've
I
got
would
that
suggest
extended.
though, I kind of do you put your knees into the tree or are you more of a stander?
When I had the small .5 seat on it, I had a thick pad on the top of the seat and the bottom.
Okay. Do you use a pad
And
on your like mesh seat or no?
no, I don't. But
Okay.
I've thought about it for this season, buying an
Yeah.
extra pad and mounting it under there.
I'll give you a suggestion. The thermoseat, if you find them on clearance at Walmart, is a
Mhm.
great thing, and you can just zip tie it or whatever you want to do, or just fasten it with some string, however you want to put it on there.
Yeah,
But it's a great little thing. That's what I did with mine. I have the mesh seat on my 0.75, and I have on my point 0.5, I have like a 1.0 seat. So I just flip the seat cushion from if I want to sit, I put it there. If I want to kneel into the tree, then I just flip the seat cushion on the backside.
nice. I'll try that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll
that's awesome.
definitely, we'll definitely link up, man. I would love to get out and hunt with you sometime.
Oh, come hunt with me this year,
Yeah.
dude. Like I
Yeah.
told you earlier, that invite's always there.
I'm just nervous about work this year, but if I'm working for myself and I can figure out some kind of situation, I'll definitely try to join you, man.
Yeah,
I
all you
would
gotta
love
do is
that.
give me a phone call and say, "Hey, I'll be there in 2 hours."
Yeah.
I'm like,
Well,
"All right, I'll meet
yeah.
you."
Heck yeah, man. No, I really appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah, anytime,
Well,
dude.
dude, I got three little quick rapid fire questions for you, and then we're going to close this one out. But
Okay.
first question is, what is your favorite broadhead that you have ever run to date through your whole life?
My favorite one, my favorite broadhead would have to be that G5 Mega Meat.
Okay.
That has done more destruction than anything I've ever shot.
Yeah, that's what I'm shooting now, and it is
Yeah,
devastating. So
it
I
is
agree with you.
absolute devastation.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you get a lot of pass throughs with it?
I do. Yeah.
Okay. I
Yep.
shot mine frontal with mine this year, so it wasn't a pass through, but I was blown away by the size of the hole. Like,
The only pass through that I did not get was the buck I killed this past season when I shot him in the throat,
okay.
but it was buried inside of him. I couldn't even see the knock.
Oh, wow. I gotcha.
So yeah,
Second
it's
is in reference to your music selection. What do you like to jam while you're heading to the woods?
I've just got a favorite playlist that I play,
Okay.
and I put it on shuffle and just let it go.
I
I
got you.
don't have a particular favorite song.
Yeah. My dad always loved jamming to Ted Nugent. That was his thing. Like when we would get all amped up and we're close to the hunting spot, he put on some Ted Nugent.
Yep, Ted Nugent's pretty awesome.
Back in the cassette days, the old Toyota, you
Oh, I
know.
remember them days. Yep,
Uh
I had many
huh.
cassettes.
Yeah,
Kind of
man.
telling my age, but yeah, many
Yeah, dude.
cassettes.
I know it. Well, it's cool. I think I'm like one of the at that good generation where I still appreciate the older times and things where we didn't have phones and we were
Oh
out
yeah,
there just hunting, sitting in the woods. So
yep.
my third and final question is: if you had any state you could hunt, what would it be and why?
It would be Iowa,
Okay.
and that's probably what 95% of your listeners are going to say.
Yes, that, and I get a lot Kansas. I think Iowa and Kansas are becoming pretty equal with each other. From what I've gathered from talking to people. I
Yeah, I
think,
didn't think of Kansas. Kansas would be, man. That's I between that and Iowa. I may have to flip a coin.
yeah. Well, Kansas is way more reasonable of hunting than like the good parts of Iowa. So
Yeah,
it takes you like 5 years to draw a tag in zone 5 and now, and like maybe 2 years to hunt Kansas. So I imagine Kansas is in the future, they're probably going to be becoming more of a point system for different zones and stuff like that. But
if I had to, if I had the opportunity and both states were available, if I had my points for Iowa and all that, I could go there at Kansas. I would. I think I would seriously have to flip a coin.
really, all right, that
Yeah,
says something, man. It says a lot.
yeah,
Well,
I
brother,
would.
I cannot thank you enough, Marty. This has been an absolute blast. I've really enjoyed this one with you, man. I can't thank you enough for your time. What is the best way for some of our listeners to keep up with you, man? Like, are you active on social media, on Instagram more, or Facebook? Like,
Uh, yeah, I'm on both. I'm kind of old school, so I'm not real active, but I do look at it about every day.
yeah,
It's just under my name, Marty Cates
yeah, I'll
on
be sure to tag
Instagram.
you.
Yeah,
So yeah, but guys, keep up with Marty. The dude is an absolute killer. I hope you all enjoyed this one, and be sure to stay tuned because I would love to have Marty back on when we get closer to season to kind of dive into your scrape tactics, man. I feel like there's a lot there that I would love to touch on that we couldn't get into today. So
I'd love that. Yeah, we'll do one on some scrapes and
yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it.
we'll chit chat about that for a
For
while.
sure. Well, brother, thanks again. And until next time, we'll have you back on. But guys, appreciate y'all listening to this one, and we'll catch up with y'all next week.
Justin, I want to tell you thank you, man. I really enjoyed it. It's been a ball.
Oh, absolutely, buddy. I appreciate your time, man. Thank you for coming on here and doing this with me.
All right, man. We'll talk to you later.
All right, buddy. See you.
Bye.